Moving on to the drywall stage, there is a gap between the end of the bathtub to the wall. It's easier to bump out the entire wall with a half-inch piece of drywall than to try to make it smooth with any other way. Here you see me filling in the gap with the drywall. The wall behind this wall is concrete. Rather than choosing to reinforce it with fasteners, I elected to use PL construction adhesive to adhere the drywall onto the existing wall. I used enough adhesive on here to make sure it's stronger than it would have been if I used fasteners. Now that the bathtub wall is the same thickness as the dry area wall, which is something we do not want, we need to have a half-inch setback in the wet area to accommodate the Kerdi waterproof board. I bump out the entire wall in the dry area with the same adhesive method. Replacing the drywall that the mirror took off above the vanity, I'm over fastening this drywall onto the steel studs to make sure it has enough strength and rigidity to support the tile we're going to put on afterwards. I'm cutting the waterproofing board to extend beyond the bathtub in one single piece. This eliminates a seam and waterproofing band that's going to build up the thickness onto this very critical area of the wall. The Kerdi board is made of a soft foam material. I gently press it against the plumbing protrusions, leaving a little indent on the backside of the foam. This way it gives me a place to mark off of to make all the measurements and cuts. I cut everything out with a oscillating multi-tool and a hole saw to make sure everything fits with the plumbing rough-in. Because we have exposed and very visible studs here, I elected to use fasteners, making sure the washers are placed less than every 12 inches vertically. I do the same thing for the second piece of Kerdi board above this one. Notice the seam between the two Kerdi boards can be fastened with one set of washer and fasteners. The bathtub's flange protrude a little bit outside of the wall. It's easier to cut the Kerdi board into a notch to accommodate this flange. This way, there will be no unnecessary banding buildup at the seam. Now, all that's left is a sliver cut between the Kerdi board and the drywall. Filling in this 3-inch gap will make sure the Kerdi board is even with the wall, making for easy tiling afterwards. I tried to get away on this back wall with using one large sheet of Kerdi board without any cuts to eliminate the need of any fasteners. In practice, because the wall and the Kerdi board are not completely flat, this did not work. I had to put screws in afterwards to hold the Kerdi board tight to the drywall until the adhesive had time to cure. I put the whole sheet of Kerdi board at the lower section where it's most likely to be exposed to constant water. I put the cut pieces on the upper sections where there will be less water and use adhesive on the end wall to put everything in.